Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go pack go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will.
What is up? Welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. Folks, we got a friend of the podcast back on. We're so honored to have you. Dan Whelan, punter for the Green Bay Packers. Dan, a repeat guest. We're so grateful to have you. Welcome to Lombardi's Legends. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be back.
Dude, listen, it's been a whirlwind since the last time we had you on. I mean, so last year it was off season. You came into camp. You had a competition against a really strong veteran punter, and you were really good. And you know, it's just talk about a difference a year makes. So that really, I just want to hear right away, like, how's your off season going, man? Like, I mean, your first year in the NFL, through you know, an entire season and playoff games and the whole thing. So how's your off season going so far?
That's pretty good. I mean, I just worked out, punted in San Diego a lot with like all the other guys that were, you know, trying to get better as well. So just kind of hung out there, try to pick up on some things, learn some new tricks, I guess, and just try to get better for this year.
Yeah, for sure. And Dan, I think we're just going to go back, I think, to as Dane set up last year at this time. You know, a lot has changed. Your circumstances have changed. And certainly now you're the incumbent coming back this year after a fine rookie campaign. But I do want to go back to last year, as Dane said, a competition with veteran Pat O'Donnell. And I'm sure part of you was going into that opportunity. You know, you're making every effort to win that job, but I'm just kind of curious, what was your mindset last year and going up against Pat and you know, just has had a lot of success in this league. And then was there a time during camp where it started to really click and maybe that you realized that, you know, wait a second, this isn't just for nothing. I have a real chance to win this job. Or was it something that just went all the way to the end and you were just so focused and so in the moment, so in the depths of that competition that wasn't really something that you had a moment to stop and realize?
Well, I was told basically like don't compete against Pat, like compete against yourself, and essentially just can't really look outside. You gotta just like what do I need to do to get better basically to like win the job at the end of the day, because it is a job. So I mean, I didn't even really know I won the job until like the day they made the cuts. So I had no clue up until the end. So yeah, I mean, I was pretty stoked, honestly, but it was exciting for me.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, sorry, Dane, like what was that moment like then for you? Just you know, was there someone you called? You know, was there a teammate that was around? Like, I'm sure the coaches were probably congratulating you, but I'm just kind of curious if you would be willing to expand on what that moment truly was for you.
I feel like my heart kind of dropped for a second. I was like, wait, I'm like, no way. And then I immediately called my mom and she just like was going crazy. I was like, oh, and then like, I mean, a couple hours later, it kind of hit me. I was like, all right, well, I just gotta keep going, right? Damn. I was, yeah, I was more in like, just like, oh, all right, let's go.
It's incredible, right? Because you've punted in like massive pressure situations before, you know, making the roster for the Packers. And I know every opportunity you had in the preseason had to feel, you know, you had to feel like the importance of it. But did you feel a difference then in that week one game and also that first time at Lambeau Field punting? I mean, like what are the emotions that you go through your first NFL regular season game, but really then, you know, that first time at Lambeau walking out going, hey, I'm the punter for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, what goes through your head? What kind of emotions do you feel with that?
I mean, obviously I was pretty nervous. First game, first regular season game, even first preseason game, I was pretty nervous. I mean, just like a whole lot of emotions, a lot of I don't know, a lot of outside noise and stuff, but like kind of feel like I kind of figured it out a couple of weeks in, just like how it all went down, and then towards the end of the season, I started understanding the game more, and like every punt really does matter. It's like a serious game changer. So I kind of realized that. So definitely has some things to work on throughout the season. So I'm excited to get back.
And let's just lean into that a little bit, just from a technical standpoint. I think it's easy as a fan to just look at it and say, "Oh, how far did the punter kick the ball?" And there's obviously a lot more that goes into the craft of punting.
Yes.
Depending on field position, hang time, weather conditions, but heck, the return opponent, depending on the scouting report you have on them. So I'm just kind of curious if you could maybe expand a little bit on, was there anything in particular that you felt like you said you've been working all off season. Was there anything in particular when it comes to the technical aspect of punting that you were really focused on as you were preparing here for year two?
I'll say just being more smooth. Like to me, smooth is like everything's calm. Like my mind is calm. My feet don't move before like I catch the ball. So I catch the ball, set it, and then I go. Like it's a process instead of like if you watch some of the film, my feet are kind of like one going backwards. I'm a little like jittery basically. So basically control that more and then understand like where I am, the situation I'm in the game. So I had a couple of punts last year that obviously I'd love to get back, but those are probably the ones that stuck with me the most and like what I did wrong in that situation. I hit a couple of touchbacks that shouldn't be touchbacks from those like areas of the field, which definitely cost us field position. So I during off season I was like, okay, well if I'm here on this field, what type of punt do I need to hit? Okay, if it's windy, what do I need to do in this situation? So basically just like figuring out the ideal ball that's gonna get the job done in that moment.
Are you watching the weather report? I mean, you're talking about the
Yeah.
wind. Like, are you chilling like Saturday afternoon for a Sunday noon game, like starting to scroll through and being like,
Oh, yeah.
what is it going to be 5 degree, 5 mile per hour, 10 mile per hour, like especially at Lambeau Field, right? I mean, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
something that because Lambeau, I'm listening, better than anybody. The wind swirls, the wind seems to. I've been to games where Wags and I have been to games together where the wind's going all different directions. One flag's going one way, one's going the other way. So like, how do you manage that? Because like this is what I love about being able to talk with specialists at such a high level is the game is so mental. Yes, it's physical, but there's so much mental to it. So like, what does that game prep look like, and how early out are you looking at weather? Like, what does that look like going into a game going at Lambeau, especially come November, December?
Yeah. I'm looking at the weather like probably a week ahead to be honest. I mean, after a game, like we're on the flight back, I'm already looking at the weather for like next Sunday, wherever we are. I mean, it obviously fluctuates, but I mean, throughout the week we practice outside, so it's always worse at practice than it is in the game. But even in the game, you don't even, I mean, in the stands, I don't think you can feel it as much as you do when you're out there. Because when you're out there, it could be like nothing, or it'll just like it's high up, so like a big ball doesn't really work because it'll just hang up in the air. So you kind of have to figure out during pregame which balls you need to like hit. So if you need to hit like a line drive, like try to paint the sideline, or hey, then you can hang it up if there's like little to no wind. But I mean, it all depends. It's really technical in the end of the day, but it's just a learning progress, I guess. More games in Lambeau, the more you figure it out, see what works, what doesn't work, and then obviously playing in the dome is it's really nice, but don't get many of those.
Sure. Yeah. And Dan, I'm just kind of curious too, sticking with this line of questioning. Is it really more, and this might sound like a layman question because it is this really more of the responsibility of the gunner to adjust to where you're going to be trying to place the ball in certain situations, or like what level of communication is happening before you hit the field, or are you kind of playing off of where they're lined up, or if you kind of see out of the corner of your eye if they're able to make an outside break and get a lane to the outside, or if they are making an inside move? Is that any aspect of what you're trying to do, or are you just so focused on where you're trying to hit the ball that's not really even that big of a part of it?
Well, the gunner comes up to me before I go out there, say like second or third down. He's like, what are you thinking here?" And then I'll tell him, and then when I get out there, I'll kind of tell him what direction it is. But and then basically what the pressure is too. So if they're doubled on one side and the other guy's singled, you usually want to go to the single side because he's a better chance of winning on the one-on-one versus the 2v1, which is pretty hard to beat. So if they beat them, it's like big plus. So you usually want to, I mean, best chance it is to like hit a great punt is to hit to the single side, so they have the best chance of getting down there and covering. I mean, they'll hopefully beat the guy and then they're there. But if it's like an 8-man or 6 box, it all depends. So if they're bringing like an 8-man, it means they're bringing like everybody basically besides their gunners or corners. So it means I have to get the ball out fast, which means it's either I'm gonna try to hang it up and then try to get it out as fast as I can, give them the best chance on the outside to go cover it, and then yeah, that's basically it.
How on like on a perfect day, say you're punting up in Minnesota, right? And in a dome. How many different punts are there, for the average fan, right? Because I like, as Wags alluded to, like, I think that the casual fan goes, oh, they punt the ball, right? But there's so much to it. So like, I've seen so many different balls. I've been to a number of games where the ball comes off different ways and it looks like by design. So like, like how many do you have in your arsenal, would you say?
Well, started learning some more. There's definitely a couple I picked up from the Australian guys that were there. So we add that one. There's maybe like eight to 10 possible punts. You got like boomerang, and you got cross field. You go cross field on both hashes. You can show one direction, kick the other way. Then you got the Louis ball, which kind of wraps around, so it'll go like this, like right to left, and then you can hit like a high hanger. You can hit like a boomerang going left to right. I mean, there's plenty of options. It just depends on where the gunner, like the returners, lined up. So what happened, like towards middle of the season, I started noticing that the returners cheating me on the hash. So I was figuring out like, all right, sometimes you just have to hit it to them based on like conditions and wind and gunners and all that. But then if it's a perfect day, I'll just try and hit like my biggest ball away from the returner so we get the most net out of it. So
yeah, and I'm gonna thinking about perfect day. Week 18, I believe you didn't have to punt the ball at all. The team won.
yeah.
So all things being equal, if we're talking about a win, do you prefer the 0 punt, like free paycheck day, or 5 great punts, team wins? Team wins either way. What's the better outcome? What do you prefer in a day's work, Dan?
If our offense is rolling, I'm happy. That's all that matters, is getting the dub, right? So win. That's it.
Wags, I like that question. That was a solid question from Wags there.
I'm surprised by the answer, though. Dan, I thought you'd be, we can all selfishly say I wanted to have a great day at the office, but
Yeah.
very, very politically savvy answer, though.
Yeah,
Too. So
I mean, obviously, I'd love to have like 5 phenomenal punts and we get the win, right? But it can't all happen like that sometimes. But sometimes it does. Sometimes you're the game changer and you basically win the game based on field position. So that would be ideal. So.
Well, it's so fascinating to me. Just I remember last time we had a chance to talk last season. You mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing, but that the coaching staff really stressed holding as well.
Yeah.
Not just I'm curious that because that's the other side of this coin, right? Is there's a whole other part, and we noticed last year. I mean, you were tremendous on the holds, and we're not saying that because you're on. I mean, you can go back and listen to a bunch of podcasts we had post game where you were just tremendous on the hold. So, is that something you're continuing to focus on here this off season to just continue to get better? Because I mean, that was something that just stood out time and time again, and it didn't matter the conditions. You were able to dig balls out. You were going, you did what you had to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job, so I basically just did my job at the end of the day, gave the kicker the best opportunity to get points on the board. So, yeah, I mean, I got, probably over 200 every day during OTAs, 3 kickers, 2 snappers, bad ball drill, all that. So, yeah, a lot of holes.
Dan, I know you're going to say that we were talking before we started recording here, that you're just focused on getting better every day. But truly, what is the mindset coming into this season now? This is your job, and year 2. I mean, heck, both you and Anders are year 2 specialists now. So you've got a year under your belt kicking at Lambeau Field, got some playoff experience. What is your mindset, and kind of what are some of your goals here as you head into year 2?
Mindset different from last year. Last year was basically just get out there, call my shot, try and hit it. Like basically just do my job. This year I kind of want to just like try and have more like fun with it, if that makes sense. Like just like enjoy doing it like at a high level. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So I kind of want to just like emphasize like this is what you love to do. So like just do it. Like just have fun with it, basically. But obviously do it in the right way. So goals for this year, definitely want to have the best net, most fair catches, and inside the 20s. I like those. So definitely want to get more of those. I mean, I can't tell you everything, but I have more goals as well. But
All right, well, that's fair. We won't tell you, we won't force you to share what you're not willing to. So, Dan, it looked like we may have lost you there for a second, but if you're back, Dan was just telling us about kind of his mindset and goals headed into year 2.
No, and I was able to hear that. I just lost a little bit of connection there, but Dan, you mentioned the 200 holds a day from the with the various kickers. How different is it from kicker to kicker? I mean, the Packers, famously right now have 3 kickers in camp. They had 3 kickers all mini camp. So does that variable change how you hold from snap to snap or from player to player, or are you staying consistent on how you snap and expecting the kicker to adapt to that? I'm just kind of curious what the coaching staff, and how you all are working together.
well, it depends on the conditions. So like perfect days, ball straight up and down. I mean, Honors and Jack wanted a little right, like towards me a little bit, and then Greg was like tiny bit, like a little back, but it's not like that much of a difference from the holding aspect. I mean, it just depends on what the wind's doing. So if the wind's like howling, gotta lean it forward. Like it has to be leaned forward, or else it's gone completely. Like it'll get taken immediately by the wind. The laces as well. So the laces have to be perfect down the hash. And if they're not, also the wind will impact that as well. So, and also the snap rotation is different from each snapper. So depending on like where I catch the ball, laces could be different, but we try to be perfect laced every time. So they're usually great on that. So don't usually have to worry about that.
Yeah, and I would imagine that there's going to be some variable from snap to snap too. I mean, as much as the long snappers are trying to be as consistent as possible, it's a constant adjustment on every snap. But Dan, I want to go back to last season again, just one more time. First NFL season in the books. I'm sure it went by very quickly.
Yeah.
In retrospect, when it all is said and done, and as you look back here today, is there any single moment that is just really memorable for you personally?
I would say probably the Thanksgiving game or the Cowboys game. Those were probably up there. I mean, I didn't really have any large punts, but we had a lot of red zone punts. We had some pretty good kicks as well. So it's kind of just like a huge team victory, I'd say, at the end of the day. Like everybody did their part and it just kind of all clicked all at once. You could kind of feel it in the air. Felt like those 2 games were special.
I mean, you were in the locker room there, from the outside perspective, the team, it went through some struggles at certain parts in the season and then just caught lightning in a bottle. And we could see it from either the stands or TV. Something was cooking, right? And this team started to really grow. And I imagine not just on the field, but anytime something like that's happening, it's happening behind the scenes too. So y'all, there's so many younger guys, right? Across every position group pretty much. Yes, there's veterans, but I think there's one guy 30 plus on the entire roster right now. It's pretty remarkable. So, behind the scenes, is this a tight group? Because it really does seem like it's a tight group from our perspective, just talking with different players, and then certainly from just the fan perspective. But, what did that look like behind the scenes to the best that you're willing to share of just like this team coming together through the course of the season and growing together?
It was like everybody just started to figure it out in their own way, like their own job, basically. Everyone just started clicking on different levels, which was pretty cool to see. Even at practice, just watching our ballers go to work, it's kind of cool to see. It's like, damn, all right. And then they do it in the game. It's like, oh my God, it's insane to watch, to be honest. I mean, everybody just feeds off each other energy, so it's special to be around, and everyone just buys in at the same time, and we just start believing. So.
Yeah, and I mean that's awesome to hear that. I'd also like to ask about Coach Rich and kind of what that relationship with you and the rest of the team is like. I mean, we've heard such great things about how he goes about relating to all of you guys as players and really just in the preparation. But just want to see if you have anything that you can share personally about what that relationship has meant as it's evolved since you went through a full season last year.
I mean, I love Rich. Very intense coach, I would say, but on the field he's intense, but he just wants to win. So he wants everyone to do their job to be as perfect as possible, and that's it basically. And if you're not doing it, he's gonna tell you something, which is what everyone needs to hear. If you're not doing your job right, you gotta be told otherwise. But off the field, he's a great dude. He's really down to earth. He understands everybody. It's crazy to see, but it's awesome. I think he's definitely made me better, made me more mentally strong. He's just a good human, I guess, at the end of the day.
And I want to be mindful of your time, but I've been thinking about this because and first of all, I just want to say and it just sincerely, we're so excited for you. Going into year 2, we were beyond hyped that you made the roster last year, and the reason I say that, we're just proud of you, is what does it mean to you going into year 2? I mean, NFL, everything's a competition, and right now, and the specialists, the Packers, over the last number of years, there's been competition all across the board. The Packers have not carried a punter on the roster all offseason, and you're going into into camp as punter 1 and punter 1 of 1 on this roster. So, mindset wise, and also just personally, what does it mean to you that going into your second full season as an NFL punter, that the Packers are showing so much value in you and trust in you?
I mean, means a lot. It's not definitely not easy. I mean, holding is my number one job, and then punting. So, I mean, obviously I've hopefully shown what I can do last year, but I think they believe that I could be better than I was last year, and I believe that as well. So I just got to keep it rolling, do my job every day, and I hold myself to a high standard every day. So.
That's great. So Dan, I'm gonna just ask one more question, and then if Dane has any more, I'll let him tee him up. But um, what has been kind of some things that you've been able to enjoy away from football? I know you're working hard. We get that, but hopefully you've had some things that you've been able to do to enjoy some time away from football. So just wondering if you're willing to share if there's anything that you've particularly been able to enjoy in your time off here this off season.
Did a lot of golfing. Golfing is similar to kicking and punting in a way. Gotta be like short game, putting, all that. Like the drivers, like similar as well. But I also play Xbox. My dog, hang with my girlfriend. Just go just downtime with the fam. My mom. See everybody I know, because I know I'm not gonna see many people throughout the season. So it's just good to just feel everybody again. Just like catch them, everybody up, talk to everyone. Get some like peace of mind, and then straight back to work.
And my last question then is: has your mom been able to come to Lambeau for a game yet?
Oh yeah, she's been there. It's freezing, toes are numb. she's done it all. But it'll probably be colder this year, so I'm preparing for that too.
I love it, man. Well, we're so grateful that you took the time again, Dan, to come on, and it's going to be an awesome year. We're really excited to track you again. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. I mean, we think you can be a long time punter in this league, and it's an honor to have you on the Packers. So just thanks for joining us again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Dan. And as always, be legendary and go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go, baby.
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go Pack, go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish it.